Please, sir, just $10. I can shine your shoes. Please, I need to save my mom. The boy's voice trembled in the bustling city street, his tiny hands clutching a battered shoeshine box nearly as big as his torso. His shoes were torn, his face smudged with dust, but it was the raw desperation in his eyes that stopped the billionaire CEO in his tracks. The man, sharply dressed in a custom navy blue suit, had just exited his sleek black Mercedes, ready to step into the boardroom and close the biggest merger of his career. But something about this child's voice, the pleading, the innocence, it clawed at something deep inside him. The man's name was Alexander Reeve, known across New York's financial world as a titan, a cold, calculating genius who built an empire from scratch after losing everything in his early 20s. Headlines praised his mind, feared his negotiations, and admired his unmatched work ethic. But the truth was, Alexander hadn't felt anything deeply, not since he buried his mother 15 years ago in a small town cemetery with no headstone and no one but him at the funeral. He looked down. The boy was no more than 7. His brown eyes glistened with unshed tears. His clothes were 2 sizes too big, patched at the elbows and knees. Behind him, people kept walking. Some spared the boy a glance. Most didn't. Alexander was late. He had a meeting that could shift the company's future. But he couldn't move. Why do you need $10? He asked quietly. The boy looked up with startled eyes, his lower lip trembling. My mom, she's sick. Real sick. She couldn't breathe last night. I tried to give her the medicine we had, but it was empty. I don't have any money. I asked people. They don't stop. I can shine shoes, sir. I'm good, promise. Alexander knelt down. What's your name? Liam. I'm 7. I used to be in school before Mom got sick. The billionaire felt a sharp twist in his chest. He had grown up with nothing too. Raised by a single mother who'd worked 3 jobs and collapsed on the floor more times than he could count. No father, no family, only her. And now, here was Liam, like a mirror from the past, trying to save the only person who loved him. Where do you live? Alexander asked softly. A building on 4th Street. It leaks, but it's home. Sometimes we don't have lights. But that's okay. The boy set his box down and began preparing a tiny cloth. His hands were practiced, too practiced for someone so young. He leaned over Alexander's leather shoes, ready to shine. But Alexander stopped him. No, he said firmly. Not here. You're coming with me. The boy's eyes widened in panic. But I have to earn it, sir. I don't take for free. You're not taking, Alexander said. You're helping me. I want you to tell me about your mom. A silent pause stretched between them, filled with city noise and the hum of distant traffic. Then Liam nodded. And so, the billionaire who ruled boardrooms and broke records walked into his glass tower headquarters, hand in hand with a ragged little boy, past security guards too stunned to speak, through an elevator that had never seen a child in patched clothes, into his corner office that overlooked the whole skyline. Liam sat on the edge of the giant leather couch, his shoeshine box at his feet, eyes wide at the towering windows. Do you eat breakfast? Alexander asked. Liam looked down. Sometimes I eat crackers, but I like apples. Mama says they keep me strong. Without a word, Alexander picked up his phone. Cynthia, bring breakfast. Eggs, toast, apples. And water. Now. The assistant's voice faltered for a moment on the other end. Yes, Mr. Reeve. 10 minutes later, Liam ate like he hadn't seen food in days. Alexander watched silently, something breaking open. In his heart he thought had been sealed shut forever. Then the boy spoke, his voice muffled through bites. Mama used to be a teacher. She taught me big words. Like perseverance. Alexander blinked. She said it means to keep going when everything feels hard, Liam said, proudly. She kept going until she got sick. What happened to her? Alexander asked. Liam swallowed hard. One day she fainted at the store. They said it's her lungs. Asthma. But worse now. She can't work. She coughs so much at night. I just want to get her medicine. That's all. Do you know the name of the medicine? Liam nodded and pulled out a crumpled paper from his pocket. It's here. The doctor wrote it. Alexander glanced at it. He recognized the name. Expensive, but life-saving. Liam, how long has your mom been without this? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Without the medication, she could collapse again. Or worse. He stood. We're going to the hospital. The boy flinched. No, we can't. They asked for money. We got none. Last time, they kept her outside until she couldn't stand. Alexander's jaw clenched. Not today. Within 30 minutes, Alexander Reeve, net worth $4.6 billion, was in the backseat of his Mercedes, holding a boy's trembling hand, driving to one of the city's best private hospitals. And when they arrived, doctors rushed not because of who Liam was, but because of who Alexander was. In the emergency room, they stabilized her. His mother's name was Emily, pale, beautiful, and shockingly young. Her lips were blue when they arrived. The oxygen mask helped, and she opened her eyes slowly. "Liam," she whispered. "Where did you go?" He ran to her side. "I got help, Mama. I told you I would. I met a man. He's kind. I told him about you." Emily's eyes fell on Alexander. Confusion swirled in her gaze. "I didn't mean to bother you," she rasped. "Thank you, sir. But we can't repay." Alexander raised a hand. "Don't worry about repayment. But, you once taught your son perseverance. That's a gift bigger than money." Her eyes filled with tears. You're Mr. Reeve, aren't you?" He nodded. "You're on the news sometimes. People say you're hard." Alexander looked away for a moment. "I was. And then," he smiled. "Until your son tried to shine my shoes." Emily's eyes brimmed with tears as she squeezed her son's tiny hand. The machines around her beeped gently, signaling that, for the first time in weeks, her oxygen levels were stabilizing. She turned her gaze to Alexander Reeve, the most powerful man in the room, yet somehow the most humbled in that moment. He stood there not as a CEO, but as a man witnessing something long forgotten, a kind of love that can't be bought, only felt. The doctors explained the full diagnosis: chronic severe asthma, worsened by mold exposure and stress. It was treatable with the right medications, inhalers, and environment. But the cost was far beyond anything Emily could afford. Alexander paid it all without blinking. The hospital stay, the medications, even the transportation, but it didn't stop there. When Liam and Emily were safely resting that night in a private room, Alexander sat alone in the hospital cafeteria, staring into a black coffee. His mind raced, not with spreadsheets or board meetings, but with a memory he'd buried for years. His own mother. She'd once collapsed in a hallway, gasping for air, just like Emily. She had worked until her body broke. He had been Liam's age, begging strangers for help, and none had come. He had sworn he'd never beg again. He became a man who didn't need anyone. A man who built walls so high, no one could reach in. Until today. That boy, that $10 plea, it shattered everything. The next morning, as the sun warmed the hospital room, Alexander returned. Emily was stronger now, her voice steady. Liam was curled beside her on the hospital bed, asleep, one small arm wrapped protectively around her chest. "You saved us," Emily whispered. Alexander shook his head. "Liam did. He refused to give up." She smiled through tears. "He's all I have. You have me now," he said quietly. "If you'll let me help." She blinked. Why us?" Alexander looked down, struggling to find words. "Because I once begged for $10 too. And no one listened. Because I remember what it's like to be forgotten. And, because Liam reminded me that money means nothing if you can't use it to protect someone." Emily's hand trembled. "We're just nobodies. I'm someone who got lucky," Alexander said. "And I want to change what that means." That week, he didn't return to the boardroom. Instead, he used his connections to find Emily and Liam a safe apartment far from the mold-infested building. He hired a private doctor to monitor Emily's recovery. He re-enrolled Liam in school, paid for everything, new clothes, books, even a desk for their home. And he came to dinner. Not once, but every night. He laughed when Liam told stories. He smiled when Emily gently teased him. The empty echo in his penthouse no longer felt tolerable. Because now, he had somewhere else to be. One evening, as they sat around a modest dinner table, Liam suddenly turned serious. "Mr. Reeve, can I call you something else?" Alexander tilted his head. "Like what?" Liam hesitated. "Uncle, or maybe Dad." Alexander's breath hitched. Emily covered her mouth, eyes wide. Liam shrank a little. "Sorry, you've been with us more than anyone ever has." Alexander knelt beside him. "Liam, I'd be honored." And just like that, a billionaire found something that all his wealth had never given him: family. But the story didn't end there. Alexander returned to his company, but not the same man. He announced the launch of the Reeve Foundation, a charity aimed at helping families on the brink, especially single mothers and children facing medical crises. The first story featured Liam and Emily. The video went viral. People around the world heard about the boy who begged to shine shoes to save his mom, and the CEO who listened. Tears flowed, donations poured in, lives began to change. In schools, teachers shared Liam's story as a lesson in perseverance. In boardrooms, executives talked about using their platforms for good, and in the heart of New York, a child's courage ignited a ripple that became a wave. 1 year later, on stage at a fundraising gala, Alexander stood with Liam and Emily by his side. He wore a tailored suit, but this time, his shoes had a faint shine to them. Liam had done it that morning, proudly. Alexander held the mic. "A little boy once asked me for $10. I thought I was the one giving that day. But really, I received everything." He turned to the crowd. "If this story touched you, let it move you to action. Help someone, listen to them. Sometimes a whisper from the sidewalk can change a life. Or maybe, save it. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Every share can help spread hope, and you never know who might be the next Liam out there, begging not for pity, but for a chance." Heart.